Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be saying this chapter. So let's begin with the chapter which names as Joan of Arc's biography or something like Joan of Arc's whole life history, how she struggled a lot in capturing, just like we had Independence Day, we fought with British to capture India, like to get our India returned. So just like that, how Joan of Arc acted as a savior of friends. So like that. So before starting with the chapter, we have a small introduction box, which is the pink box. So we'll read that first.
At first, Charles was not certain to what to make of this peasant girl who asked for an audience and professed she could save France. John, however, won him over when she correctly identified him dressed in Quantico in a crowd of members of his court. The two had a private conversation during which it is said John revealed the details of a solemn prayer Charles made to the God to save the France. Still tentative, Charles had prominent theologians to examine her. The clergymen reported that they found nothing improper with John, only petty, chastity and humility. Finally, Charles gave the 17-year-old Joan of Arc an armor and a horse and allowed her to go to accompany the army to Orleans, the site of English shield. In the series of battles between May 4 and May 7, the Charles troops took the control of English fortification. John was wounded but later returned to the front to encourage the final assault. By mid-June, the French had routed the English and, in doing so, their prospective invincibility as well. Although it appeared that Charles had accepted John's mission, he did not display full trust in her judgment or his advice. After the victory at Orleans, she kept encouraging him to hurry to Reims to be crowned king, but he and his advisors were more cautious. However, Charles and his possession finally returned to Reims. He was crowned King Charles VII on July 18, 1429. John was at his side, occupying a visible place at the ceremony. In the spring of 1430, King Charles VII ordered Joan of Arc to accompany to confront the Burgundian assault. During the battle, she was thrown off her horse and left outside the town's gate. The Burgundians took her captive and held her for several months, negotiating with the English, who saw her as a valuable propaganda prize. Finally, the Burgundians exchanged John for 10,000 francs. Charles VII was unsure what to do. Still not convinced John's divine inspiration, he distanced himself and made no attempt to have her released. Though John's actions were against the English occupation army, she was turned over to the church officials who insisted she be tried as a heretic. She was charged with 70 counts including witchcraft, heresy and dressing like a man. Initially, the trial held in public, but it went private when Joan of Arc bettered her accusers between February 21 and March 24, 1431. She was interrogated nearly a dozen times by a tribunal, always keeping her humility and steadfast claim of innocence. Instead of being held in a church prison with guns and guards, she was held in a military prison. John was threatened with torture, though there is no record that it actually occurred. She protected herself by tying her soldier's clothes tightly together with dozens of cords. Frustrated they could not break her, the tribunal eventually used her military clothes against her, charging that she dressed like a man. On May 29, 1431, the tribunal announced that Joan of Arc was guilty of her heresy. On morning of May 30, she was taken to the marketplace in Rouen and burned at the stake before an estimated crowd of 10,000 people. She was 19 years old when legend surrounding the events tells of how her heart survived the fire unaffected. Her ashes were gathered and scattered in scene. After John's death, the 100 years of war continued for another 22 years. King Charles VII ultimately retained his crown and he ordered an investigation that in 1456 declared Joan of Arc to be officially innocent of all charges and designating her as a martyr. She was canonized as a saint on May 16, 1920 and is the patron saint of France. So guys, this was all about the story of Joan of Arc, which I didn't actually explain it. It is a quite vast story, but I'll explain it in the next 3 videos, explaining the 3 separate paragraphs. So I think that the explaining part will be quite interesting, as you'll be getting to know several things which are like out of your mind, and there is a thing which is quite interesting in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed the story, and until then, take care and bye bye.